What's up, everyone? Welcome to the show, and thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Aaron Hepler. Today, we're going to be talking to a friend of mine, a recent friend of mine, Ethan Dhuyvetter. Ethan is an avid ultralight fisherman. He doesn't really harp completely on ultralight, even though I really get him to. He does love it, but he has just a passion for fishing in general. When it comes to ultralight, though, Ethan is well versed in small baits, multi-species fish. This guy just loves to be on the water. So you're going to want to listen to a lot of the technique-based stuff that he has, strategy, and just really enjoying the outdoor experience. Make sure to tune all the way into the end and hear some of the really good experiences that he got to have growing up fishing, learning about fishing, and just the fun he's had fishing. You won't want to miss those stories. You're going to also want to check out Ethan on his YouTube channel, Fish Anything, or on Instagram at fish_anything on Instagram, or Mule Fishing on Instagram. Ethan has his own small business that he does his own fishing lures and tackle, this kind of thing. So I think you'll really like some of the products that he has over there. They really do it for me. So we'll be picking some of those up soon. But anyway, it is some fish frying season. It's the reason I'm posting this. I was going to post this later on, but I think the reason I'm posting this is it's timely. You're going to want to listen to some of this stuff to get on the water now. So enjoy the show. This is In Camp Podcast. All right, so folks, on the other end of the line, we have Ethan Dhuyvetter, and I'm pretty excited to talk to this guy because it's spring and it's pan fishing season. At least it is for me. Turkey season's coming up. Are you going to get out for turkeys at all? Do you turkey hunt?
I don't really do much hunting. I tried doing some hunting when I was younger, and I guess I just never got hooked on it the way I did with fishing. So yeah. And now, I mean, I just don't feel like I have time to do that. So who knows? Maybe in the future I'll pick up hunting again. But for the time being, it's fishing or bust. Yeah,
I mean, you're in a good place for the rough grouse for sure.
Oh, there's probably lots of stuff to explore. I mean, Michigan is just such a great outdoorsman state. So whatever you like to do.
Yeah, it's beautiful there. So Ethan, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the reason that I would be on a podcast is because I do. I've got a couple things. I do a lot of YouTube fishing videos. I've been doing it for several years now, and so you can find me. It's Fish Anything, and a lot of ultralight and multi-species fishing is what I like to do. Probably some entertainment along the way. Definitely some information along the way. Somewhere in between the two is kind of what I do. But then the other thing that I do is I own a company called Mule Fishing. You'll see for people watching, you'll see like a flag behind me. That's my company. Basically what it is it's a light line multi-species company. So ultralight fishing gear, durable plastics, ultralight jig heads, that type of thing. It's just really meant to make fishing approachable, simple, and catch lots of different species of fish. So yeah, those are the two things I kind of do. I guess that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. If you haven't seen Ethan on the YouTube channel, it is why I contacted you to get on a podcast. But where'd you get your start in fishing?
That's a good question. For me, I got into fishing in high school more than anything. That was when I started learning how to drive and my friends were driving. I got a lot of exposure to like Kansas farm ponds and stuff because I went to school in a small little school out in the country, and I had a lot of country kid friends. So they grew up with some land, and a lot of them would have ponds and stuff. And really, Kansas doesn't have a lot of water. I mean, specifically, especially compared to Michigan, there's water everywhere here. Yeah. Kansas, there's not a ton of water. So if you don't have access to like farm ponds and stuff, it probably would have been a little more challenging to really get interested in fishing. But I think that's where I first caught the bug. I have family that like fishing, but really not very many that are super close to me. So I really didn't pick it up from family as much as I kind of just learned it from friends, and I just caught the bug really quickly. Started going to those ponds, throwing around rooster tails and stuff, catching bass and some bluegill and stuff, and it just quickly became addicted to bass fishing, and just all of a sudden, here we are several years later.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool because one thing that's been happening with this podcast is relatively new, but one theme that's been happening is a lot of the similar type stories, because that's really honest. That's really how I got my start too. I mean, I had family and grandfathers and dads and uncles that were interested in getting me into fishing, but like the farm pond thing is such a cool thing, especially if you want to get kids into fishing. Is like, man, you can spend a lot of time just catching in those places. It's not fishing in some farm ponds, it's catching.
I wish I had access to more farm ponds like that.
I know.
By the time that me and my friends were done with them, it was like a pressured body of water, because we would go fish it so dang much, and they weren't that big. So I think we probably were pretty well acquainted with every single fish in the pond by the end of summer. Funny how that works, though.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite season to start wetting a line?
I mean, spring.
Yeah.
I will fish anytime I have the ability to fish. I'll fish in cold weather that makes my fingers feel like icicles, and then I'm miserable by the time I get home. Or I'll fish in the absolute dog days of summer. I actually kind of like fishing when it's really hot. I don't know. I don't. Heat doesn't bother me when I know I'm going to sweat and I'm okay sweating. I don't like, wearing nice clothes and going out in 100 degrees. That's not fun. But like, dude, I don't mind fishing in the heat. But yeah, definitely spring is probably the most fun, because the fish are just getting aggressive, and they haven't really seen as much, presentations recently. So I just feel like you can just catch a ton of fish. Everything starts to get aggressive around the same time. So, and I think also, like, mentally, I'm just ready. Here in Michigan, we just have a lot of gray skies during the winter, and it's just not a lot of outside time for me specifically, just with my current lifestyle and schedule and stuff. So, just got the itch, man. I'm so ready. I actually am fishing tomorrow. I'm taking the day off, and I'm fishing tomorrow, and I'm so excited.
Oh, fantastic! Are you gonna target anything specific?
I'm going to a lake that I've only fished once, and when I was there last time, I think it was about a year ago, I did have pretty good success on crappie. So if things go as planned, hopefully find some crappie. I love crappie in the spring, so hopefully we'll see.
So we've been kind of messaging back and forth, and I'll target, if I'm targeting panfish for a fish fry, it's always bluegills, because you can do a bobber and a worm or whatever, and catch plenty of bluegills. But I've never specifically targeted crappie. So this is the first year that I've gotten a chance to do that, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that. But I'm not very good. Well, I'm not an expert at it by any means. I've been using kind of like the same baits, and they're doing well, so I'm kind of sticking with that. But what's your kind of go-to when you're targeting a specific fish like a crappie?
Well, for crappie, a lot of time, obviously I own Mule Fishing, so I'm going to kind of talk Mule Fishing, but I guess I'll try to be a little broad here too. So, Mule Fishing, my personal favorite bait for crappie would be the Mule Minnow 2.2. So if you're not thinking Mule Fishing, really a 2-inch minnow profile like that, that's what I like. So whether that's like a Bobby Garland or a Strike King or a Mule or whatever, that 2-inch minnow profile is generally what works best for me. I catch them on other things too, but that's kind of my go-to.
And that's a paddle tail plastic that you're talking about.
It's actually, I've got one.
Let's see it.
I've got a bunch of, so this is not how I sell them, but I have some different colors all in one package here.
Yeah, okay.
Just real simple.
Very cool.
Very simple designs, very thin, very much just looks like a minnow, right? Doesn't do a lot. It's more of a profile bait, so it just looks like a minnow, and it has a slow rate of fall. It floats, so it's got that buoyancy, so it's going to kind of hover down there real slow. And this time of year, those fish are going to be getting up shallower and start thinking about spawning. Depending on where you are in the country, they may have already spawned. But for me, I'm going to go on a limb and say they're kind of pre-spawn, starting to think about the stuff. We're starting to get some rain. Some waters are probably starting to warm a little bit. So crappie are usually one of the first to go. So I'll be looking, up on sandy areas with, harder bottom, places where they can actually make a bed, and you'll see with crappie, you're going to see a bunch of beds. And up here I have a lot of black crappie. I don't have so many white crappie, and the black crappie are interesting because when they're in their spawn, they get real dark. The people say they got a tuxedo on, so they're like pitch black almost. That's the male crappies guarding the beds and stuff. So it can be really, really fun. But yeah, that Mule Minnow 2.2 all year long, that's my go-to. Probably in the colder season, I'll probably use a little bit more of like an insect profile, because the crappie also enjoy eating, bug profiles and small aquatic insects and stuff. But that Mule Minnow 2.2, this time of year, fish it a little bit shallower, lighter jig head, like a 1/32, and I'll just kind of run around weed beds and stuff like that, and areas where they may be thinking about spawning. And then as they start getting more into that summer pattern, they're going to probably go find places to suspend. So that may be suspending over some kind of deep structure of some type, or it might be around like some kind of shaded cover like docks. Docks is one of my favorite ways to catch crappie. Is deeper docks in the summer and fall, is to just go and just shoot a jig underneath it and just get it as far back there as possible and just drift it down. And if it's got enough water on it, they're going to suspend halfway down. And if there's brush, even better. And it's just, there's something about crappie aren't going to fight the hardest, right? But there's something about the way they eat that is just so fun. You got your real light jig head going down there. You see your line. All of a sudden, your line just ticks ever so slightly. And you set the hook. And it's just, there's something about that is just so addicting.
I got out today again, and the bite here, the water is just getting to their spawning temp. I guess they spawn somewhere a little bit over 60. Is that
probably about right? Probably around 60. Yes, low 60.
So it's like the other day it was about 57 degrees. Today it was 61. So they were a little more aggressive today as as sun came up or whatever. But you're right. Like they don't fight. They don't pick. You just feel that little tick and your line goes, because it's not it's almost like a side. And tell me if this is right for you. But I've had to set the hook just on a side sweep. It's not like a bass where you're just.
You don't need to set the hook too hard. Yeah, that's gear definitely plays a role. I mean, if you're using too stout of either hooks or too stout of a rod or a combination of both, if you don't have your drag set probably, those all the gear dynamics do come into play. So if you're using a flimsier rod, you can probably tighten your drag a little bit. Maybe you can use a little bit, lower stretch line like a braid. But if you've got a real stout rod, you may want to make up with it with a little looser drag, or maybe you're going for a monofilament. That's where crappie actually, there's some technical things with gear that I think can make a difference, because they do have what's, people call them paper lips or whatever, because they have very thin lips and like very thin mouths. And so if you rip a jig, you're probably going to rip it right out of their mouth. And sometimes you'll actually like rip their mouth. It's definitely not like bass. You don't need to set the hook like crazy. I mean, you do want to pin them, but that's where I with the mule jigs, they tend to do very well because they've got a light gauge hook, and it tends to do well for crappie. I do not like too stout of hooks for crappie fishing.
Yeah. Are you ever using hard plastics when you're fishing crappie?
People do it. I've caught fish on like jerk baits and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, usually when I'm bass fishing with a jerk bait, there's usually a point in the spring where I'll catch crappie on accident. So they'll definitely go for that type of stuff. And especially I would say like that immediate pre-spawn where they're like aggressively feeding.
Yeah.
Like a little jerk bait is great.
Yeah.
I don't use like small hard plastics that often. And the reason is because a soft plastic outproduces 10 to 1 almost any time in the year. I do not. I want so badly to be able to catch more fish on like hard baits, but they don't produce the amount of fish as a soft plastic for ultralight fishing.
Yeah, I agree. I'll occasionally, if I'm on a school or something, I'll throw a jerk bait at the end of it or something if I'm not getting another bite, and maybe pick up one or two more. And it's usually a pretty hard bite because they have to catch it. So that's kind of fun, but it is. I feel like you're pulling the bait out of their face a lot when it comes to a panfish chasing a hard plastic.
Oh yeah, well especially bluegill, they can't mouth the hooks very well. So you definitely it can work. It can be good. Big enough bluegill can do well with like a little Rapala or something like that. But I I don't know. I would rather catch as many fish as possible every time I go out. And so I don't,
Yeah.
I need to experiment with them more, but I just feel like every time I do it, I'm just not getting near as much quantity as I'm looking for.
Yeah, I hear that. So for your rods and tackle, are you using ultralight strictly, or do you pick up a light rod with a fast action?
I'll fish anything. Fish anything. I didn't intend to do that.
No pun.
Yeah, I genuinely didn't mean to do that. I will fish with any type of setup. So ultralight specific power, that's what I tend to use the most because it's just something I really enjoy, and I like testing ultralight gear, and so the ultralight power is what I gravitate towards. However, for crappie fishing, if I want one crappie rod for the rest of my life, it's going to be a light power because it makes more sense for those fish and the types of places you're catching them. A lot of times, if you're truly going to be fishing where the crappie are, a lot of times they are going to be around docks, they are going to be around brush. You probably do want just a little bit more rod to be able to move them, because if you catch big ones, they can move you behind a post or something like that. So
Sure.
It would probably be like a 6'6" light rod with 4-pound mono, or maybe it's 6-pound braid to a mono leader or something like that. But I'll use just about any type of setup. But this year I'm actually going to be doing some more like serious, like big bait fishing for bass, which is the absolute polar opposite of my ultralight stuff. And that was kind of the main reason, is like over the winter, I'm just like, man, I think I want to just try the literal opposite of what I like to do the most. So I've acquired a few big baits. I have no idea what that's going to look like, but I'm going to throw them around. We're going to see.
What kind of big baits are we talking?
I've got anything from like soft plastic swim baits, 5 to 7 inches long. And then I've also got like hard bait, like wake bait type stuff.
Very cool.
I'll grab a ridiculous one real quick. This one is hilarious. It's like a big rat.
Oh yeah. We did pretty good in Canada on those before.
Really? Did you catch pike on this thing?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, this thing is literally 2+ ounces, I want to say. Yeah, 2.3 ounces.
That's a wake bait, right?
Yeah, it is, and that's what I'm excited. I'm gonna put it away real quick.
I want to say that was an iCast like a couple, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw it and I'm like, dude, I gotta get that thing. And it's funny because like I use 1/64th, 1/32 ounce jigs all the time, and this is 2.3 ounces. I mean, it's it's like 100+ times the size of a lot of the stuff I'm using.
It's gonna feel like you're throwing a musky bait.
Which it is the size of musky bait and a lot of musky bait. So, it'll be interesting. Definitely going to feel the fatigue a little bit when I'm throwing around those bigger setups. But between that and a 1/80th ounce jig and everything in between, that's what I will fish with.
Yeah. So if you're bass fishing, are you using ultralight stuff as well?
No, I catch bass on ultralight all the time because ultralight fishing, when I'm fishing with ultralight, generally I am going for whatever bites.
Right.
I will obviously throughout the course of a trip probably lean into a certain species based on kind of what's going on. So I'll just start with the mindset of I'm going to catch whatever. And once I start catching like bluegill, maybe I focus on bluegill. Maybe if I catch a few crappie, I'm going to go hone in on crappie. But 99% of the time, if I'm throwing ultralight, I'm catching bass along the way too. The reason that I will not specifically target bass, unless it's more like juvenile bass, is I don't necessarily love trying to catch like larger fish on ultralight because it is a lot of wear on the fish. Like they get tired, and especially in like the dog days of summer or around the spawn or just times where maybe they don't have a lot of energy where they should be expending. I'm very much cognizant of the fact that that's not probably the best thing to do. So I'm going to catch bass when they bite, and I'll always try to make sure they're well taken care of. But I'm not going to go rig up like a 5-inch Cinco on a 2-pound test in an ultralight and go specifically target big bass. Like I feel like that's not right. So
I mean, drop shot fishing or something like that, finesse. Like I feel I probably don't go much lower than 8-pound test on bass. Maybe sometimes 6 if I'm in really clear water or something like that.
Sure.
And I'm doing like a drop shot kind of thing. Are you making plastics for bass too, or just like for ultralight kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my stuff, it's light line multi-species, so it's like it's ultralight, but it's not only ultralight. Like there's definitely like stuff for more like smaller bass setups. I just dropped it. I'm gonna grab it. This is my most recent bait. This is called the bluegrass bug.
I saw that.
So it's 2 inches long. So that's a lot of people are going to hear that and be like, well, that's small. That's a crappie bait, but it's definitely bulky. And this right here, it's very, very similar to like your Ned rig style plastic. So I fish this on a Ned rig. So usually a 3/32 ounce mule jig, and that right there is definitely going to be a bass bait. I mean, that's going to catch mostly bass, but it'll open up the door of other species too. So when I first ever threw it, I caught catfish on it, which was really funny. But
I saw that video. I was pretty impressed by that.
That video like blew up. I don't even know how, but it was
you
funny.
caught a catfish on a soft plastic.
Well, which is like, that happens, I suppose, but it was just surprising. So that one, that bait I've caught like yellow perch. It'll catch bluegill and stuff. It'll catch rock bass. But I think like smallmouth bass in the river is kind of what I'm most excited about for it.
Yeah.
But even just largemouth. So I've got one rigged up for tomorrow. I'll probably cast it around, see if I can't catch some largemouth. So definitely have some other plastics as well that are definitely more in the size range of bass. But I'm never going to be the company that has a 7-inch or 8-inch bait. Like it's not about traditional bass fishing. It's about multi-species on lighter line. So whether that's a medium light for bass or an ultralight for bluegill or anything in between, that's kind of what it's for.
I mean, that straight tail bait that we were talking about for crappie, I feel like you could use that. You could use that on a drop shot rig real easy.
Yep.
I've noticed when the bite gets a little bit finicky, downsizing the bait helps a lot when you're drop shotting or finesse fishing. You want to throw on like a 6-inch or a 5-inch like flick shake worm, straight tail worm or something like that. A bait like you're showing there is clutch when you're doing when you're drop shot fishing.
Yeah, bass. I mean, dude, bass are opportunistic feeders, and they don't like to expend a lot of energy to eat. And I think, how many bass I catch while ultralight fishing of respectable size. They like these easy little meals that just hover in their face. And so, these micro presentations can be extremely effective for bass. I definitely agree with that. The other one that I kind of talked about on another podcast or two is, if you like fishing for spawning bass, and I'm sure people have mixed opinions or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you're taking care of the fish, then I'm okay with it. Using a micro presentation on a bed, it's game over. It's game over. You will absolutely catch so many more bass off of a bed with micro presentations than with the big stuff, because the fish can't move the bait without eating it. It's that simple. And like so many people, if you've done a lot of bed fishing, and that's kind of around this time of year for some people, if you've done a lot of bed fishing for bass, you're going to notice that you could spend an hour or 2 hours on fish sometimes, but if you're throwing a 4-inch creature bait, they're going to pick it by the tail and they're going to move it off their bed probably 40 times before they eat it when they're really finicky.
Oh, that's a good point.
And if you've got a 1.5 inch plastic there, they have nothing to pick up other than the hook. So
that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're into the kayak thing a lot too? You can talk about your kayak setup a little bit.
Yeah, I've got a couple kayaks. So I've got my primary kayak that I'm most excited about is the Old Town PDL 106. I formerly had the 120, which is a 12 foot. Now I have a 10.5 foot. Now I'm 6'6", so I generally need a 12 foot kayak. But what I liked about the 106 is that you actually have the same exact amount of leg room. You're just sacrificing storage, which I'm okay with because I don't actually bring that much gear more often than not. I will say I do think the 120 was a better kayak for fishing, but for me, it was more about having something that was easy to store and a little bit quicker to launch and get on and off the water with. So that was why I switched out for the 106. But yeah, the Old Town stuff, they're great. Their pedal system's really good. It just makes for a very efficient setup to where you can fish and you're not really dealing with fighting the water. I also have a Wilderness Systems Radar 115. I need to fish out of it more just to play around with it more, but I don't know if I'll keep it forever or not. But Very cool kayak, very cool design. Not as good of a drive system for pedal drive, but a really neat design. I just wish that they had a better drive system. If they did, it would be like a perfect kayak.
Nice. Are you using electronics on your kayaks at all?
Very, very basic electronics. I'm not a big believer. Like, don't get me wrong. If someone offered me the most fancy electronics, I would take them. But I'm not going to go spend thousands of dollars on fancy stuff. So I have like the most basic Lowrance. Like, just give me a chart and give me a graph. Like, give me the sonar. I'm good. I don't need all the forward-facing stuff. But if I can see the depth and potential fish suspending, that's perfect.
I'm with you on there. I feel like sometimes, not that those things aren't cool or they don't have a place, it does take away a little bit from the fishing, though.
I think for crappie fishing specifically, it makes it, I think it takes away from like the challenge. I'm not going to judge people, like whatever. If you want to go drop $5,000 or whatever, or $10,000 or whatever you spend on some of this stuff, and you want to go play the video game thing, and I'm sure it is a blast, right? So I don't have strong feelings on it by any means, but just for me, like I don't need to have fish finders on my kayak that are worth more than the kayak. I just think that that's silly.
I'm with
people
you.
do it. I mean, it's all the time. People do it. Whatever, man. If you want to have a $15,000 kayak, by all means, that's your choice. That's how you want to use your money. That's fine. That's not how I want to use mine.
I mean, I've heard so many of these podcasts are like, so the guys are just saying, you can look around a lake and know when people are using live scope because they don't ever look
stare
up.
At it.
They basically run into stuff and.
That's what the funny thing is. Now I'm gonna just go off on a tangent here.
Do it.
You want to just go outside and fish so you can stare at a screen. Do we not look at screens enough? Like, do we not stare at a computer all day? Like in so many jobs, right? Like my job. I stare at a computer all day. I get up in the morning. I work on mule stuff. I'm on the computer. I exercise and whatnot. I do my thing. I take care of my boys. I go to work and I'm on the computer all day. Yeah. And I come home and I probably have a little bit of TV time before bed. And it's like, dude, I look at a screen a lot. The last thing I want to look at when I'm in God's beautiful creation of Mother Nature while I'm trying to catch fish is another big screen. Like,
man, I'm with you.
The modern angler, dude. Like,
my I have a little like aluminum bass boat, and I have whatever electronics came on it in 2008 because I just like to fish. I live in a lake community, so I get to fish a pretty stellar lake. So I'm learning it without, or I'm trying to learn it without electronics. It shows me the depth, it shows me the temperature.
Perfect.
I can see some structure on it, which is great for if the visibility right now is about 20 feet. I can see about 20 feet.
Is the lake that you're on, is it big enough to have like a topographical map, like an old school, like classic printout map, like paper map?
I found a few, yeah.
Sweet.
I don't know how accurate they are, but yes, I found a few.
See, that would honestly, like, that's like the fun thing too. It's like, I used to live in my former house. I lived by a very small lake. But like, it wouldn't have topographical anything like that, right? Like there wouldn't be anything like that. But through going around it on my kayak enough times with a fish finder, I could have drawn one, and and it's kind of fun, to be able to kind of do it it's yourself, really cool. As opposed to
I know I've been on my little like Onyx and marking because right now the water is 7 feet lower. It's 7 feet low.
Yeah,
it should
mark everything.
Yeah, and it's clearer than it's ever been at this time of year. So the visibility is like 15 or 20 feet. I have found, I'm always like, why do I catch a fish there? Now I'm finding cribs and so everybody in this community will take like their Christmas trees and think they're being, savvy and taking a cinder block and throw them down there. I found a massive pile of Christmas trees.
Nice. Well, that's where your crappie are going to be.
It's loaded. Yeah. And I'm almost sight fishing these crappie because I can see it's like I'll pull up, there'd be a brush pile, there'd be 40 crappie on one.
How deep Christmas are they tree. Right now with the lake being low?
So it depends on what kind of structure. There's a crib that I've been fishing that's in about 5 feet of water.
There you go. So if you're fishing that shallow, that slow rate of fall. Yeah. Like 1/64th ounce. Yeah. I mean, it'll just fall so slow, and they just slurp it.
And then we found a pile of cinder blocks. There's probably like 40 cinder blocks all piled up, and they were on that. That's in 10 feet. And some of these Christmas trees are on a real steep point. So it's anywhere from the top of these trees are about 5 feet down into maybe 25 feet. I can't see them. I can just see there's more trees that go down. And I can't really see past that. But they're all hanging out around that.
That's awesome.
And there's everything's
fun.
in those too. I saw probably a 40-inch pike swimming around in there the other day, and so it's pretty cool to see all that, because it's not something. It's for crappie. I usually don't see them before you can.
No, not unless it's the spawn. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like they're not typically a sight fish type of fish outside of the spawn.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I caught, I think 18 today.
Wow.
And
Yeah, that's a good day.
perch. Yeah, I caught a perch that was probably pretty close to 2 pounds. It was pretty big perch.
Yeah.
And I don't do that well on perch, because that's another thing I'd like to kind of figure out, is targeting bigger perch like that. I can go and catch a bunch of little ones, but nothing.
Yeah, you and me both. I catch them when the water's cold, and then once it starts warming up, I don't catch them anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm sure if I really put the good old college effort against it or whatever, I'd probably figure them out to a degree. But I guess once the water gets warmer, I guess I'm just more interested in catching everything. When the water's cold, I love chasing them because they're aggressive. Like, they're more aggressive than everything else, and so they're just so much fun to just throw a drop shot and just catch yellow perch.
Yeah.
But yeah, once that water starts warming up, it's like, all right, bluegill are on, crappie are on, bass are on, everything else is on. It's like, let's catch a little bit of everything.
How much do you enjoy fishing deep for panfish?
Dude, I love when I get it dialed in. I love it. Like, I love the bite. I love setting the hook. Like, I love that vertical hook set, sitting over 20 or 30 feet of water. And
It's cool.
Moving a ton of line, and your rod kind of doubles over, and then you just kind of you reel them straight up. When you get good ones, it actually is wonderful. But even if they're not good, it's just like the hook set to me is, and like the bite detection is so much of the fun with panfish.
Yeah.
And I think people sometimes, we get so focused in on the fight of fish that we lose sight of some of the other elements of fishing that are so fun, is like to detect bites and set the hook. There's just like that satisfaction. And that's, so like deep water panfish, so fun. Yeah. I agree.
I found a school of perch. So this is one problem that I've run into, and I want to know your opinion on this. I found a school of perch last year that was in about 25 feet of water. I didn't know it was perch. I thought, well, it's some kind of panfish. They're making big long lines and they're hanging out and whatever. So I ended up catching one perch in 25 feet, and when I brought it up out of the water, its swim bladder came out.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get it to go back down. I ended up catching a couple more and had a little.
There you go, fish sticks.
I pan fried them, but is there anything that you do? Do you ever have any problems with that, or you just bring them up a little slower?
Yeah, that's what you do. I mean, that's for me. Like, I think you can get like the fizzer thing. I don't know how well that would work on like a perch when you just absolutely rocket launch it from 30 foot all the way up. Yeah. The big thing for me that I've done, and again, don't get me wrong, I've had a few accidents along the way, kind of thing, because you don't know it until all of a sudden, oh crap, I just reeled them up too quick. Well, once you start to realize that, you set the hook, and then you just try to keep the tension, but you reel them up slower, and it gives them time to adapt as they're coming up. But when you hook the bigger ones, it's not as much of a problem because they're fighting along the way, and they're so you're not bringing them up so fast.
Right, they're expelling their own air bladder or whatever.
So that works. So that's where it's like when you hook something, you're like, there's no weight to this. You just have to remember. But yeah, unfortunately, it's hard to remember until you've already screwed up once.
Yeah, you better bring that bucket full of ice for them.
I need to, honestly, I want to keep more fish actually this year. Like I actually want to keep more perch, probably more crappie. I don't ever keep fish. Like my whole life, I've just always. And part of it's like the whole time commitment of cleaning them, if I'm being honest. It doesn't take that long, but I just like every second I have to fish, I want to fish. I don't want to be like cutting open fish. I want to be catching fish. So
time savers for that for me. I don't keep if I'm going for bluegills and I'm going out for a fish fry, then I'll keep a lot of I'll go out and keep 50 bluegills or whatever, and we'll have a whole bunch of people over and we'll do that or whatever. But the crappies, I like catching them, so I'm only keeping, a couple every time. 18. I think I kept 10 today, but the last couple times I've been out, I'm keeping 5 or 6 or whatever.
The nice thing with crappie is if you have a lake that they're actually doing well in, they repopulate pretty quick, and they don't have a very long lifespan. So like,
right,
they're actually a fish where it's like can justify probably keeping pretty well.
Yeah. And those big bluegills are something you
want to turn back.
Yeah, you keep the small, not the small ones, because the ones in the middle are the ones you want to keep.
Those big male bluegill you got to put them back. But again, crappie and bluegill are very different. But hey, I'm not gonna whatever.
Yeah.
Dude. You get it. People want to eat fish. Cool. Eat the fish.
So, but the I think time savers for cleaning are that I have a Bubba Blade, the electric. Oh, the
electric one. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, I cleaned the 10 crappie I kept today in 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
I'm sure. Yeah, that's probably half the battle for me. I've got the old classic. It's sitting right here, actually. Got the old classic. I think it's a Rapala. It's a little dirty.
Yeah, I have one of those, and then the fish skinner. The fish skinner where you just pull it off, and I only got this. Actually, a friend gave it to me because we started catching all these fish, and it was taking me 3 hours to clean 50 bluegills. You know what I mean? And you get this thing, and it's an hour process for that many fish, and it's pretty worth it.
Yeah.
And my daughter, everybody loves to eat bluegills and deep fry them, griddle them up.
Yeah, well, deep fried, even better. Just frying in general, just delicious. Yeah, crappie, perch, those are kind of my two.
Fish tacos, love them.
Who doesn't love a good fish taco?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking
all about right there.
That's what I'm talking about. Do you notice any... Crappies for me, I've been doing really well on tubes. You talked about your minnow style bait. I've noticed that the perch really enjoy a straight tail, almost like a leech kind of looking thing. Mm-hmm. You notice anything like that?
Dude, my favorite perch profile for me is insect larva.
Okay.
But I say that, and it's also the minnow profiles are really good too. So I could see how a straight tail, a leech and stuff like that. I think its profile and size it makes it a big deal. But hands down, my best perch bait has been my horsefly bait. It's a 1.5 inch insect larva.
Oh yeah, with the double tail.
Yeah, they just eat it good. I know that I'm biased. I own the company, but I think that they just eat a lot of insect larvae, and they also they just can't resist. I think they like it. I think it's it must be nutrient rich, full of the good nutrients that they need, and they don't. An insect isn't gonna really put up much of a fight, so it's easy meal for them. They move slow, so. A lot of times I think that panfish in general just really like the insect larva type presentations because it's very easy calories. A minnow and stuff is going to swim away. You're going to have to chase it. And they don't want to chase stuff because the more you chase, the more calories you're burning. And they're not like us, man. I actually burn calories as much as I can so I can justify eating an entire pizza. We are very different. We have to remember the fish. It's not about the savory, I'm going to go have a delicious meal and a nice beer to top it off. No, it's all about practicality for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a valid point. And I think the other thing that makes sense is that you said you do really well on insects in the heat. That makes a lot of sense to me too. Yeah. Those dog days of summer are kind of a hard thing for fish to get through because they're burning a lot of calories when that water temp is up in the 80s.
So many of the things that fish eat underwater we don't actually see. That's the thing. Panfish, bluegill and stuff, they're primarily eating insect larvae, and when they're little, they're eating phytoplankton and zooplankton, tiny little microorganism type thing. So it's they eat stuff we just think, well, they probably eat minnows. It's no, they eat minnows. They're opportunistic. Yeah. But that's probably not their main forage, in a lot of cases. And there's so many like if you have vegetation, there's so many little insect critters that are hatching in that. And it's weird. Like I want to see more of them just solely so I can understand it better. But I never see them. They're there though. And that's the thing.
I feel like fly fishermen understand that stuff really well.
Absolutely they do. Now, the fly fishermen, primarily, they're spending their time on streams and stuff. And so, like, then it's different types of bugs. But yeah, these lakes, I mean, same stuff is happening underwater. It's a whole different world down there.
Yeah, they know a little bit about it. My dad has been a fly tyer. Like, he ties his own flies for the last probably 40 years. He's been in all kinds of clubs and stuff. And dude, we'll be fishing for panfish, and he'll... oh, this is what they're eating, and then he'll actually catch a couple. He gets bored when he fly fishes for panfish because the water's not moving or whatever. But he'll have fun doing that. So it's kind of a, I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of book or something I need to get and think about the insect larvae when it comes to pan fishing.
Honestly, if you have the ability to sit down and read about bugs,
that's true.
I have like some kind of hatch guide thing someone gave me.
Yeah.
No, I can't sit there and read bugs.
Yeah. I fly fish occasionally. Trout season opens pretty early here. I guess it opened at the end of March or first weekend in April or whatever. Yeah. So then I'll fish for trout for a couple weeks, and I'll try to see the bugs that are, and I'm like, oh, that one's looks white, so I'll put this thing on. I never do that well.
No, it's different game. I'm probably never, or I'm not going to get into it anytime soon. And I like trout fishing, but I know that I'll never probably be the best trout fisherman because I just don't think that I'm interested enough in all that.
Fly fishing could probably do it for me if I was fishing for a pike. I think that's pretty cool.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, but I don't know about the other stuff. Maybe on a river.
Fly fishing is a kind of a pain, and it's fun when you have like the open water. But when you're around trees, it's not fun because I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I would be able to. If I just spent more time with it, I'm pretty confident I would be able to manage just fine. Yeah. But
I get frustrated and end up tying on a spinnerbait and
I like little spinning reels. They're fun for me. Yeah, I enjoy them.
I'm with you. So let's talk about. I want to talk about your soft plastics. So we talked about your straight tail. We talked about the horsefly larva. And your new bait that you came out with. Why don't you just tell me about the questions I should be asking about your soft baits?
Well, I think really is what it comes down to is like what was the reason that I ever came out with this stuff? I guess I'll start there.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, when I first started mule fishing, I started with jigs. So I started with the 1/80th, the 1/64th, and the 1/32 ounce mule jig.
And you're pouring them yourself, I'm assuming.
No, I don't. And the reason I don't is because when I was in high school, I made my own soft plastics, and this was a long time ago. And I had a YouTube channel, different YouTube channel, and so like I hit replay on all this stuff later, and that's another story for another day. But the reason I didn't decide to do all this stuff on my own is because I knew that if I'm just working in the company, I'll never be able to work on the company. I'll never be able to scale it. Yeah. And most of the people that do that stuff, I love it when people succeed with it, but I would say the vast majority of people that pour their own plastics or jigs or whatever and try to sell them, they don't last because it ends up becoming so much work and they're not building in enough profit potential to where they can't sustain it over time. And I wanted it to be a real business that was able to work over time. And so I do have suppliers, and that's the route I took. So that way I can focus on the actual brand of it and the designs and those types of things, as opposed to actually like pouring everything and doing all of that. The other thing is just capabilities too. So like I said, 1/80th, 1/64th, 1/32. These are micro presentations unique to the market. So I've got one sitting here as an example. This is like a limited time color. It's a blue, but
oh, nice.
What they are is they're just micro Ned style heads. So I was the first one to come out. When I first came out with Mule, there was nothing like this at all. It's still pretty much the only thing of its kind, but it's got a keeper on it, which I wanted, so it would hold a plastic.
Yep.
It's got a Ned-style mushroom head design, which I wanted because most of the stuff on the market was just a round ball jig, and then a lot of the stuff had too big a hook. So these I came out with intention for proper hook sizes, and so the 1/64th has a number 8, the 1/80th has a number 10, and then the 1/32nd has a number 6. And that's very intentional because so many, when you're fishing with a light line, you don't want to have too big of a hook, number one. But number two is most of the fish that you're targeting, so whether that's trout or panfish or whatever, like a small hook is often better. They're able to take it down better, specifically bluegill and other sunfish. And then also it pairs up better with a plastic. So
Yeah.
started with the jigs because there really wasn't anything I was satisfied with on the market. And I knew I always wanted to do plastics later, but it just took some time. And I knew that with the plastics, I wanted them to be like the high stretch material where it's like super durable. I keep dropping this. And so like these are like that high stretch material.
Yeah, I love that.
And so the reason with that is there was nothing on the market really designed for light line multi-species fishing that was offered in that material. Everything was, bass or saltwater. Mm-hmm. And so when I came out with it, it was all kind of the only thing that was really going after like multi-species and offered in small sizes. And that was the intention. Now the market's changing, right? Like there's more companies paying attention to this space.
Yeah.
I don't know if they paid attention to me or not, but I can tell you that I think I was a little bit ahead of the game because I felt like it was a space in the market that needed some love. And here we are. We're continuing to innovate. Mule's never going to have 10 million different items, though. It's a very I want it to be a simplified approach to fishing. I want it to be, the reason I named it Mule, a couple of different reasons. Number one is the only reason I would ever thought of mule is because my grandpa and my grandma growing up, they always had mules. They always loved mules. So I wanted it to mean something about my family. The logo, that's a silhouette of my grandpa.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and that. So it means something to me. So it reminds me of family. But mule, it's like they're kind of known to be like hard workers, and that was what I wanted the company to like signify. I wanted it to be something that's like work hard. It's not about glamorous. It's not about fancy. It's about tried and true. It's about approachable and affordable. Mm-hmm. And it's about something that, like, if you go walk a Bass Pro Shops and you're confused like heck, let's go to Mule. We've got a simplified approach to fishing. No matter where you go, you're going to catch fish. And, we're working on it. We're trying to figure it out as we go. But we're 5 years and change now, November 2019. So,
Very cool. Now, are you going to like trade shows and stuff like that with your stuff, or just kind of?
No, I want to. I would love to do all that stuff, but I have a full-time job too, and my full-time job is that's how I support my family, and and I love my job, and so this is a side job for me, the side hustle for me, and I just don't have the time to do a lot of those other things, and so that. I'm not sure what the future looks like, to be honest with you. What I know is I'm having fun with it. I feel really good about where it's going and where it's kind of been. And
that's great.
Yeah, I'm excited. But my job is to be a servant for my family. My job is to take care of my kids and my wife. And I'm not going to ever put them in a position that I would put my own little fishing lures ahead of them. It's not going to happen.
That's great, man. I really like that attitude. It's kind of I understand where you're coming from totally there, because family does come first. I mean, you could step into a big mess, or you could step into something great, but when you keep it on the side and you're good things happen from things like that still.
I like my job. I don't know. I feel like I've got a good thing going. I work really hard, and I spend a lot of time doing a lot of different things. But
you get a lot of vacation time?
It's like I said, I'm taking tomorrow off to go fishing. Like that's a good vacation day in my eyes. So so hopefully catch a bunch of fish. We'll see.
I get a lot of built-in. I only have to work 3 days a week because I do 12-hour shifts, so I get a lot of built-in time to.
That's a good way of doing it, right there. I'm
being
sure
a nurse,
those 3 days
being a
are a
nurse,
lot of work.
I'm an intensive care nurse, and some days it really sucks. But when I get 4 days in a row off, or I have every other day off, it's pretty great.
Yeah, that's a cool like balance, we'll say.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I'm very very happy with my current life. It just feels like I'm always kind of running and gunning and chasing stuff around. If it's not the kids, it's a fish.
How many kids do you have?
Just 2 boys.
Nice. They ready to fish yet?
Yeah, I fished with my son on Easter. You know, I'm probably not giving him enough freedom to try to cast it. There's
It's
like
hard, man.
this anxiety that he's just going to throw the whole thing in the water, but I need to let him loose with it. But he does a really good job reeling stuff in. Very excitable. We're having fun for sure. And then the
That's great.
little one is only a year and a half, so he'll touch the fish. He'll scream at the fish. He'll run up to me when I'm trying. But yeah, it's he's not quite ready yet.
Yeah. My dad, I remember I always used to love lures because my grandfather would bring all these hard baits.
100%.
You know, and he'd give me a little tackle box. I had a little tackle box full, and I had a Zebco, and I put a little, like a gold, like an original floater Rapala on that thing.
Yeah, sure.
And I could cast like 15 feet, you know. And I remember throwing that thing into the water, caught my first bass on it, and like it ended up breaking like right at the shore, and it was a pretty big fish. And my dad kept being like, "You're never gonna catch anything on that." And I caught something, and he was like, "I'm gonna have to take that bait back."
That's awesome.
So one thing I don't want to miss out on. What kind of cool experience? What like some memorable stories you have from the water that you can really really share with somebody?
Well, I've got a lot of experiences. Now I'm trying to think about what would be some of the most memorable. I mean, a lot of the ones that over the last few years have been memorable and like are standouts are when I'm somehow able to land a large fish on 2 or 4 pound tests. I mean,
Yeah.
I've caught catfish that had me underneath 2 or 3 docks. I'm talking like 2 or 3 separate docks,
Oh, man.
peeling drag, and I was able to somehow finagle them into my kayak, which I still don't know how I did it.
It's all that light practice.
It's something. It's weird, but I caught a pike, you know, on a 2 pound test, and he had me just screaming drag in my kayak. So a lot of those like bigger fish that just kind of randomly show up, I think is like that funny draw to ultralight, like multi-species fishing is when you're like, you know, you're catching bluegill and all of a sudden a carp eats and you're just like, okay, this is game on for 20 minutes, you know?
Yep.
Those ones are always standouts for me. I think like one of the funny experiences over the last few years is I was wade fishing a river, and I kind of got it on video. Not great video. So it was more of a personal experience than it is like a YouTube thing. But
Yeah.
I was reeling in probably like maybe 10 to 12 inch smallmouth. Most of the fish in this river are pretty small. So I'm catching like a 10 or 12 inch smallmouth. All of a sudden, dude, freaking muskie shows up, chomps my smallmouth, like holds on to it for probably close to a minute. I thought I was going to land the fish for a while, but
That's
I'm like,
pretty
wait,
cool.
he just wouldn't let go. So I ended up eventually reeling in a shredded smallmouth. I felt bad for the guy, but it was...
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do?
The death of that smallmouth was worth the experience for me.
Yeah.
So, I feel bad for the guy. That place has no shortage of population, so you know, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
dude, and I mean, this was an up close experience. Like, so to
That's
be like
fun.
in the water, and then there's this behemoth like dinosaur fish that's just eating what you're reeling in.
Yeah, it makes you scared to put your toes in the water.
Yeah, I mean, I trust that a muskie's not going to mess with my toes, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like that's a creature right there.
They do,
Yeah.
man. I've heard there's been a couple people around here that needed stitches.
No, don't you start making me scared. I don't get enough time to fish, and when I do, I don't want to be nervous that a muskie's going to eat my feet. So
I hear you on that. I always make fun of my buddy because 2 years ago he was using like a 1-inch tube and caught a 24-inch walleye and flipped it up onto a dock, and it broke the line and went right back in the water.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, we've had our fair share of moments like that, but yeah, those are a few that kind of just randomly come to mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish that I was better about remembering everything. To me, I try to enjoy every time I go fishing, and I enjoy the experience, and then they kind of just fizzle off and they're all kind of blend together. I don't know. I might have bad memory, to be honest with you.
No, I think that's one kind of unique thing about fishing is you truly enjoy the experience. Hunting, I always enjoy the experience too, but then, there's always things that stand out more, like either your failure stands out more or your success stands out more.
Sure. Hunting's a lot more about like one moment, like you have a goal of shooting a deer. There's a lot of trips along the way. You pass on deer. You eventually shoot one. You don't catch 10,000 fish. It's a very much more of like a monumental thing.
And if you're doing it about the experience, it's probably because you're hunting with other people and enjoying that part of it. So for fishing, the things that end up standing out are the things where you have a bycatch of, like if you're fishing for bass I caught a really nice pike in Lake Champlain once on a square bill. It was like a 30, maybe 36 inch pike. And I caught it on 10-pound test. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you have one of those standout days where you caught like 4 million 1-pound bass, or something like that.
And just cool places too. Like that's the thing with fishing is like fishing is always done on water, and generally speaking, places that have water are really pretty, but there are some that are just next level. And so I mean, there's some places in like northern Michigan I've been to that I'm just like, that's like it's just the perfect relaxation. Like it's just blue, deep water, just beautiful. Yeah. Lots of fish, and just, it's not about necessarily the fish I catch. It's just about the vibes and like the day and just, so I mean, there's a lot of things that stand. I've caught a lot of fish. I've been on a lot of fishing trips, and a lot of them blend together to an extent, but it's usually the places or the random things. Yeah.
The wildlife is cool too, man. You get on a lake that's full of loons or something and they're going nuts in the morning. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to think if there's any see a lot of bald eagles, but
beavers. Oh man.
Dude, I never see beavers. I wish I would.
They scare the crap out of you when
slap
they slap their tail down. Oh, it's so cool though.
I want to see more beavers. I never see beavers, dude.
Yeah. The eagles are always cool. I see an eagle. Actually, today we saw 2 eagles flew out of a tree above our head. The one, but there's a couple eagles that live here, so every now and then. But I've seen them come over the middle of the lake during their mating season, and they're fighting in the middle of the air.
Sweet.
That's
awesome.
That stuff's so cool when you're fishing. And like I said, it's really about the experience.
Yeah, you should. Next time you go fishing, make sure you have your forward-facing sonar, so when that eagle flies and fights each other, you won't see it because you're glued on. Your eyes are glued to a screen.
But it can be, it can be fun. The buddy thing too, man, can be fun. We did if you go with the buddies and you're just killing fish and stuff like that's a good time too. There's always things to remember by that. But
a lot of college fishing trips with my friends, and definitely will always remember those. I mean, I think it was the last spring break. See, everybody for spring break would always go to like Panama City Beach and Florida and all these places. I literally went on a fishing trip every single year. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I'm sure I would have enjoyed those other trips. Like they probably would have been fun. But for me, the last one of my college life, me and my 2 best buddies went to Taneycomo in Missouri. It's like kind of like a trout lake thing. Cool. River, lake. I don't really know exactly what it is. Lake Taneycomo. Anyways, we took kayaks. We floated around. We had some cold beers at night, caught trout, cooked them up on the fire, camped. It was that. It was incredible. It was, and man, I want to recreate some of those moments in life. It's just really hard to come up with the time. So if you're young and listening to this, I guess the point is like make those memories, and if you have the ability to do those things, make those memories because they will stick with you.
Yeah, and it's so important to remember the experience because now you and I are talking about stories in fishing, and I'm sure if you sat down and looked at pictures, you'd be like, oh, I remember that fish or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's not really as much about the fish that you catch or the trophy or whatever. It's the trophy in fishing is seriously the experience, and if you remember that, it's totally worth it. You know, I did do you get to saltwater fish at all?
Well, no, not really.
Not all the way in Michigan, I guess.
Yeah.
I never really saltwater fish, but I have a buddy who's really into it here, and he does everything. Like he'll go black sea bass. He was really into stripers, and he'll go bow fishing for stingrays on the bay and that kind of thing. But he's like, the first time I got to go striper fishing, he's like, let's go striper fishing. Okay. So he always brings 4 people on the boat, and we were using A rigs, and an A rig for a striper is like, you're throwing like 15 pounds, you know.
So who got hooked?
Nobody, actually.
What? Oh, I thought you were going to say 4 people in a boat with Alabama rigs is someone's going to get hooked.
It was a cool experience because it was a little bit rainy. There was 0 boats on the water when we got there. I think by the time we left, we saw 5 boats, which never happens. And we ended up catching 50 stripers.
Nice.
But the experience was I can remember how many fish we caught because we were all excited about the number of fish we caught. But the experience is what I remember the most, like the feeling that everybody had when we caught the 50th one, and the laughing when you lost one, or the laughing when the fish flopped on the boat and hit you with slime in the face or whatever. Those are the things you remember from trips like that.
Yeah, and I got one more little quick story here, but I probably have to roll here shortly.
No problem, man. We're about to wrap it up anyway. We're at an hour already.
Another college trip, spring break. I think it was the year prior, maybe 2 years prior. I don't even remember. Yeah. But me and 2 other buddies bass fishing Table Rock, again, Missouri.
Very cool.
So my buddy, he was, I think it was his boat, maybe, I don't know. He was up front. He was running the trolling motor. And, I think he was like, man, I got like a little nick in my line. And then he just goes, and this was when YOLO was like first like a thing. And he goes, YOLO! And he just chucks his Alabama rig. And he goes on to catch like an 8-pounder.
No way.
And then I mentioned the whole getting hooked thing. There's another distinct image in my head because we took a picture of it and it was so funny. On one of his back casts, he hit my rabbit fur hat and snagged me. And thank the Lord he did not get my skin because it was right in the dome. And he backlashed the absolute crap out of his reel.
That's awesome.
So we got a picture with me with like one of those like rabbit fur hats and just an A-rig hanging off the side. And he's just got his arm around me just like we're buddies. And
I love that.
Dude. It was some very funny moments. A bunch of immature college kids.
That's just fantastic.
Yeah, out on the boat catching fish.
Yeah.
Thankful we didn't run it into anything.
Yeah. Ethan, I am so appreciative of your time, man. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me.
Of course, this was great.
A lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I love sharing stories like that too. The how-to stuff is really great for me. It's really great for the people that listen. But man, the stories are what we do it for.
Absolutely. And I honestly, I think this might be one of the first podcasts that like any of those stories even came up because you asked, it's like, I think a lot of times it's always about what are you catching right now? How do you catch fish? What is the technical stuff? And it's like, I like talking about that, but it definitely brought it back some really great memories. So I appreciate you asking.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. And I want you to tell people again, in case they didn't hear it in the beginning, the couple places they can find you, please.
Yeah. So, any social media, it's just Fish Anything. YouTube is probably where I spend the most time. I've actually been trying to actually use some of the other social media less. So I apologize if you can't hear from me. I just try to create some balance. And then for the company, it's Mule Fishing. So MULE, like a horse's cousin, mule, and then fishing. So mulefishing.com, and then everything on social media.
Excellent. Thanks again, Ethan. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Aaron.
All right.
And that's a wrap for today. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And I'll tell you what,
the next day I went out and caught a load of crappies. So I hope you get some time to get out fishing. Make sure you check us out at incamp_podcast on Instagram. Go ahead and subscribe to the show. Give us a review and a rating. Leave us some comments. We'd really appreciate it. Make sure to check out Ethan on his social media accounts, fish_anything on Instagram, or Mule Fishing, and his website as well, and his YouTube channel. You'll really enjoy it. Thanks again. This is In Camp Podcast.